Good evening, James.
Good evening, Buck.
It's time for another episode of the Mega Power Hour. All right, what's up, everybody? It's me. It's the JAT-double-B. And as always, I am here with my co-host.
Superstar James Starring, the guy that makes the ladies scream until they cream.
Yes, the legendary Creamin'. Superstar, a.k.a. Jamie Jam Garvin, a.k.a. the original Mr. Steal Your Girl, a.k.a. OG Steal Your Girl.
Is that what? Did you just make that up?
Yeah, those are some of your AKAs.
Sorry if that was my keys on the desk. I was opening a beer. It was a bottle this time.
Well, all right. That brings us to our favorite opening segment. What kind of beer is Jamie drinking tonight?
Right now I'm drinking the Storm King Imperial Stout from Victory Brewing. Let's see what it tastes like real quick. Percent.
9.1%.
Yeah. So I'll be hammered in about 30 minutes after the rest of these beers. Yeah, it's kind of like it's an Imperial Stout. It's got a little coffee, a little bit of chocolate in it. It's kind of bitter hoppy for some reason for a stout. I don't know. It's whatever. I'll never buy it. Luckily, It was free.
That sounds like drinking AIDS. Let me see what I have here. I have a looks like some sort of apricot or hold on. I read that wrong. It says Pabst Blue Ribbon. I'm gonna crack this open. See what it tastes like. Oh, that tastes like heaven.
Yeah, heaven in a 16-ounce can.
So yeah, we're good to go. Episode 3. We are rocking and a rolling with this 2.0 version of the podcast. Bigger, badder, better, twice as famous. And twice as many ads. We got another sponsor, so twice as rich.
Yeah, we have this 3 weeks, 2 sponsors. Crazy.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible. So the podcast keeps growing and growing. And actually, that's with zero help from Jamie. If Jamie would tell 3 people about the podcast, God knows what could happen.
I got some YouTube subscribers out there for us.
Well, it's that nice. I'm afraid that you don't have any friends out there with it. I mean, I don't know. It's starting to be concerning. As one of your best friends, I hope that you have at least one friend out in Colorado, someone that you could tell the podcast about. But
I actually did. I reached out to him, and he might be.
You reached out to that one friend?
I reached out to the one friend that might be doing a sponsor for us, helping us with our sponsor.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're not going to let that cat out of the bag, but yeah, I've given up on the Facebook page, but I mean, hopefully this week you can tell a couple people about the show. I mean, we're growing leaps and bounds. I'm all over Instagram talking about it. We got a Twitter set up. People from Japan's on there.
Oh, yeah. What about Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah, Costa Rica, Trinidad's. All the dads are listening. So we're just, as they say, rocking and a rolling right into it, man. This has been it's going to be a crazy week. Not wrestling news wise, but I have a busy week. I got to drive into Miami every day, which is god awful. The traffic in Miami is the equivalent of Jamie's beer. It's just a nightmare to have to deal with. So,
yeah, but the traffic doesn't get you drunk.
Yeah, true. But it's gonna be a nightmare every day. But I guess we should talk. I think there was a football game on last night. People are calling the Super Bowl.
Was that it? Oh yeah, that was last night. That was that was probably the worst. I don't know. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I mean the game, as they say, was what it was. I know you had some comments about the halftime show.
Yeah, first of all, I didn't even know what. I mean, I've heard of Maroon 5, but I didn't know that. I've heard those songs actually they sing, So you're doing a Super Bowl show in Atlanta. I mean, I don't think Maroon 5 is from Atlanta because the guy that took his shirt off that looked awful with tattoos everywhere, he had a California tattoo. So if you're going to do a halftime show in Atlanta, why don't you fucking represent Atlanta besides stupid ass Big Boys, the worst. I mean, I did better than him last night. I literally had a better rap concert than he did last night.
Well, Travis Scott, I know you don't know who that is, but he's also from Atlanta, I think.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. Is he the guy that came out and danced weird?
Yeah, he came from an alien pod or whatever the fuck they did.
Yeah. So I mean, why don't you do Outkast, Goody Mob, and Ludacris or T.I. or I mean, any like I don't know what CeeLo won't come back and do a halftime show at all. Like none of those guys. He couldn't get Atlanta.
Well, I mean, I think there was an issue getting people to do the show because everyone wants to support Colin Kaepernick and all that shit, but there had to be a better choice than Maroon 5. Number one, he cannot sing live.
I mean, it literally sounded like a hat full of assholes.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah,
it was awful. And people are making a big deal about him taking his shirt off, but just when you take your shirt off for no reason, it's a douche move.
I've never seen somebody look more douchey in their life than that guy.
That was the douchiest move of all time. He obviously had been working out just to do that. And
yeah, I mean, so he popped a couple weights in the bag, swelled up a little bit, ran out, big deal. We both could kick his ass easily. And you don't take your shirt. That's a huge douche move. I don't ever take my shirt off unless I'm at the beach or it's requested. Yeah, and that's
often, but
no, I mean, I'm constantly taking my shirt off because ladies ask me, but nobody asked him to do it.
Yeah, nobody.
Maybe the guy beside him, maybe that guy that he was dancing with asked him. I'm not real sure.
I don't know. Maybe his guitar asked him. It wasn't doing anything else.
No, he sure as hell wasn't playing guitar.
No, it wasn't. It was embarrassing, but I mean, the Patriots 6 Super Bowls, pretty incredible. I know everyone hates them, but I bet the Patriots. I won a lot of money off that game, so congratulations to everyone. Edelman was a monster.
Yeah, it was a pretty easy pick. I didn't think the game would be that desolate when it comes to scoring, but I mean, obviously, Mr. McVay, he had the worst coach game I've never seen a football game where somebody didn't adjust to one thing, and then his best overall player, he just sat on the sideline the whole game.
Man, they couldn't move the ball at all,
and they didn't even give it to Gurley. Like, I don't understand. I mean, they didn't even try a running back screen with Gurley, like a guy who's very good in the open field, can run faster than people, make people miss, stiff arm. Like, they didn't even throw a screen. They didn't do anything. They just – I'm not even really sure what was happening. I think Maroon 5 was actually playing for the Rams.
Yeah. I mean, it was, like you said, like you have to make adjustments. Obviously, what they're doing wasn't working. I don't think they moved the ball until halfway through the third quarter at all. So
no, there wasn't even a possession there wasn't one play ran in the red zone.
Man, imagine being that Rams defense and you're stopping Tom Brady and your team can't do anything to help you out.
And it's 3-0 for 2.5 quarters or whatever.
It's fucking terrible. I hope nobody bet the over on that, but
yeah, that was just an embarrassing game, embarrassing halftime show. And even if those guys, I just don't know why they didn't get anyone from Atlanta. Even if they're boycotting the NFL, why wouldn't they go on there and do their best job and then take a knee to, like, I don't know. None of it makes any sense to me. The whole thing none of it made any sense.
Yeah, it was not great, but like I said, I won a lot of money off of it, so
yeah.
Oh well. Moving on. Okay, so kind of a slower news week this week. We don't have a lot to discuss as far as pro wrestling news, but kind of good because, like I said, I'm busy this week, and there's going to be weeks that are slow. And me and Jamie have solutions to that problem already, obviously. And I just got, Jamie's the busiest man on earth. Nobody could keep up with him, and I got a crazy week this week. Like I said, going in and out of Miami every day. Not to mention, I got to work out 2 or 3 hours every night. I mean, I say this as humbly as possible. I'm goddamn humongous.
Biggest neck in the business.
Yeah, so I don't just go in there and run a treadmill for 10 minutes and then leave. You know, I'm in there stacking weights for a couple hours. So
yeah, that's the only way to get that way is
I'm,
dedication and hard work. None of this sitting there on a bicycle.
Yeah, I'm in there moving goddamn plates around. So
yeah,
you know, we're busy, but there is one thing I did want to bring up, and wrestling related. Everyone knows about Roman Reigns. We talked about him in the first episode. This is per the Wrestling Observer, which is the second best source for wrestling material, they say, behind our podcast.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns is going to be in The Rock's new movie. There were some photos of Roman Reigns last week where he's been filming the new sequel of the Fast and Furious franchise, Hobbs and Shaw. It's been kept relatively quiet, but Reigns is going to play The Rock's brother. Rock is, of course, Hobbs. Everyone should know that. There are fight scenes. Roman doing the fight scenes with his shirt off, and he looks good. That was not my quote. If you looked, he's maybe slightly smaller, but he, of course, he's standing next to The Rock, who's goddamn humongous.
Yeah.
And he looks healthy. So there are rumors out there, you know, did WWE fake the leukemia story? You know, Roman haters are jumping all over this, obviously, but I think, you know, wrestling 6 days a week and filming a movie are two different things. I'm not saying filming a movie is easy, but he obviously has a small role. He's not out there hours and hours of the day. You know, The Rock hooked him up because it's The Rock's cousin, and he's sick, and The Rock wanted to do something nice for him. So.
Yeah, because The Rock's an awesome person.
Yeah.
And really, it doesn't take, I mean, I was hoping it would show him in the trailer, but it didn't show him in the Super Bowl trailer last night, did it? Did I miss that? I watched the trailer, but I didn't see him.
No, he's not in the trailer, but there are photos of him. They're doing one of them Samoan dances.
Yeah, but I mean, he could have filmed his whole role in that movie in one day. They could have shot all his stuff in one day. So it's not like, you know, he probably didn't do a lot.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe WWE or Roman Reigns would fake a leukemia story, but
yeah, Roman would not do that a little less than WWE would.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, he's sick. People need to calm down, but you know, good for The Rock, dude. This is what I say, and this is what we're going to talk about tonight. Dude, The Rock is amazing, the greatest actor in 2019, I think, that we have alive.
Yeah, he's in 2018.
I mean, God, I don't even want to get into Skyscraper because we won't be able to talk about anything else. But
I know it changed my life.
Yeah, but he's doing a nice thing for his cousin, man. So I hate to say it, it is what it is. What I started to say, and I think it's a cool thing, man. I'm not a Roman lover, but I'm definitely not a Roman hater.
No, I'm in the middle. I'm fine with Roman. I'll be happy when he comes back one day. I'll tune in. Hopefully I'm sure he's working on his mic skills. He's probably working on a lot of stuff being at home. He's not one of those guys that just sits around. So.
Right. And this is actually a good segue, as what they call in the business, segue to what we're going to talk about tonight. So, like I said, I'm busy this week. You know, there's going to be times that Jamie's busy. Sometimes it's going to be a slow news week. There's not going to be a lot going on that me and Jamie want to talk about or discuss. So in those cases, obviously me and Jamie came up with the most brilliant solution, which is, number one, as previously discussed, I believe we brought this up, but we're going to start covering old wrestling shows on the network. So every now and then, instead of a weekly news show, boom, we're going to throw up an old pay-per-view or an old TV show on the network.
Is that like you throwing up in an Uber?
No, not like me throwing. No, there's no $150 charge with it.
I know, ours is a $500 charge. Probably it will be one day.
But yeah, so we're gonna discuss, give our in-depth analysis and commentary on some old, classic, unbelievable wrestling shows. And on top of that, we had a discussion this week with a couple of our buddies about movies and The Rock and Fast and Furious. me and Jamie realized that we're experts at movies. So we're going to start reviewing movies as well and letting you guys know about some movies that you may not know about, because we're not going to be reviewing the top 100 movies of all time. We're going to be reviewing our top movies of all time.
Yeah, which should be everyone's top 100 movies. Our top 100 is better than the top 100 list. Any top 100 list out there.
Oh, yeah, by far. And, I mean, to give you a little background information for those of you who don't know, Jamie, more than me, I moved there when I was older, but, you know, we're from this small little town in Georgia called Blue Ridge. And in Blue Ridge, now, when we were growing up, there was no Netflix, there's no Hulus, there's no red boxes you could go down to at the grocery store.
Wait, what was that? What was that noise?
That was your mouth.
Making that noise.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
But yeah, so there was these things called video stores that you had to walk into, and in Blue Ridge we didn't have the big ones like Blockbuster, but what we did have was a place called Theater Time Video, and Theater Time Video had a deal where you could rent 5 movies for 5 days for $5. Oh, 5 for 5 for 5.
Yep.
And me and Jamie would constantly do that and pick old movies based off of either who was in it, the cover, or the tagline. Most of the time it was the tagline.
Yep. And if all 3 of those matched up, it was an incredible night.
Yeah, it was probably going to be one of the best movies we've ever seen. And by doing that, we've discovered all kind of incredible movies that I'm sure you may not have heard of. And we're going to break those down for you eventually. So tonight, what we're going to do is kind of give you a prequel, an origin story for our movie review show, which is so 3 episodes in, we already have a spinoff.
Yep.
And we're gonna kind of introduce, and I think the best way to do it, since we are a wrestling podcast, is to talk about the relationship between professional wrestling and movies.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, throughout, as my knowledge of movies even extends farther than pretty much any. I basically owned Blockbuster and then left once it started going down. I brought it to as high as it could go. It couldn't go any higher, so I only had one place to go and it was down. So I left. I did all I could for that company, and then they just couldn't handle it without me. But wrestling, at the end of the day, I mean, kayfabe aside, wrestling is a lot of acting mixed with a lot of athleticism and using those things to tell a story in the ring. And some of to be a good wrestler, you got to be a good actor, you got to be a good talker, you got to be athletic, and to captivate us with a story is just phenomenal. So naturally, good wrestlers, people who can talk and act out on TV and live in front of live crowds, end up being in movies, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, there's an
natural progression of it.
Yeah, there's an aspect of professional wrestling that is acting.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of guys, especially if you're really good at professional wrestling, you're going to be able to transition into acting. Most guys start off small and then gradually, become bigger. Of course, the best example and the most successful, obviously, is The Rock, who's, the best actor in Hollywood right now. So,
yeah, and arguably top greatest actor of all time.
Yeah, well, he's up there. He's top 5 for sure, and he's got a lot of movies left.
Yeah, I don't even see. I mean, he's already on the Pacino De Niro level, and he's got 40 more years of acting, and those guys are dead, basically. So,
yeah, and he's the only person I've ever seen who has a tougher workout schedule than I do.
Yeah, and I mean, he does, yeah. He's up at 4 o'clock every morning.
Yeah, and not even I do that. Jamie's up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but he's busy building businesses.
Yeah, and I mean, I could stack plates like he does, but I'm just more – I get off on building businesses. So,
yeah, he gets off on that brain muscle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we're gonna kind of go through the history of the correlation between the two, and then pretty soon we're gonna be dropping some review episodes. I think you guys will really enjoy. So we're gonna pay some bills real quick, and then we'll jump right into this.
Hey everybody, Roadkill here. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Well, I have. I have about an hour roughly every day while my varmint stews in the kettle cooking up to do a podcast. So when I was trying to get the podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen to? How do I make money off my podcast? Well, I don't need any money. I live off the land. I grow my own food, but I guess, money's always good. So then I found the answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. I like the ad. It gives me the perfect amount of time I need. I can go to the my tanning shed, tan my hides. I can pick my carrots and peas and get them ready for the stew. I can make pelts. If you want to start a podcast and make money do it, go to anchor.fm/start. That is anchor.fm/start. Join me, Roadkill, and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. Again, that's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast when you're making your vermin stew. Sit down and cast away.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's your surprise of the night. We did get a huge superstar to read an ad for us.
Yeah, he was super grateful that he would do that. He's been wanting to get involved in the show. He's super excited. He wanted to bring that sponsorship to us. He called podcast company, and they worked together and figured that out just for us. So that's probably a couple grand right there just in our bank accounts easy. So
yeah, we really appreciate it. Roadkill is he's a superstar, so it's a good get for episode 3.
Yep.
But like we were saying, we're gonna start talking about movies, and me and Jamie, we both obviously love professional wrestling, everything about it, have our whole lives, but also our whole lives we've loved movies, and more importantly, I think I can speak for both of us that some of our favorite movies came from the 1980s.
Yeah, easily. Greatest movie time ever.
Yeah, 80s movies are like nothing else. They're incredible for so many reasons. Mm-hmm. Not only are they awesome, but they're hilarious.
Yeah.
And they were great. And that was really, if you look at it, when you started to see this relationship between professional wrestling and movies exist. So, I think most notably, right off the bat, I think of Andre the Giant and Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Which was a huge role for somebody like that. I mean, Princess Bride was a mega hit.
That was kind of one of the last things he did too in life. He only had a little bit of wrestling left in the tank, and he was getting old for the Princess Bride deal.
Yeah, he was kind of on the downturn of his wrestling career, trying something new, and he was awesome in it, honestly. And then, of course, one of my favorite movies ever, They Live, starring Roddy Piper.
Yeah, phenomenal movie. I watch it all the time.
Phenomenal movie indeed, dude. It is one of the greatest movies about aliens probably the best movie about aliens ever made.
Twice as good as Independence Day.
Yeah, twice as good.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't put a guy like Roddy Piper in Independence Day because it'd be over in 5 minutes.
Yeah, you wouldn't have a movie because he would instantly kill everybody.
Yeah, he would have flown the spaceship right up its ass and then jumped down and landed on 2 feet, and it would have been game over immediately. So, zero casualties, zero Earth casualties.
And God forbid if he didn't have any bubble gum.
Yeah, if he didn't have any bubble gum, look out, Galaxy.
One of the best. Yeah. One of the best movie lines of all time.
Great movie line. To the point where there's cola at Rocket Fizz. There's candy based on it. That movie had the greatest fight scene of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. Reenacted an episode of South Park about, one of the greatest fight scenes of all time. If you haven't seen it, you're an idiot. Go watch it right now.
Yeah, and John Carpenter directed it. He also writes his own scores and performs his own music, writes his own music. So great soundtrack.
Probably a movie that we're going to cover at some point in depth. But also, just came in my mind. I mean, you talk about great movie lines. You think of Jesse the Body Ventura in Predator.
Yeah, it's great. It might be the greatest movie line in the history of movies. If you don't have time to bleed, I mean, that's just, I ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah, with the hugest chaw you've ever seen in.
Yeah, and that was when he said, because he also said that son of a bitch is dug in there like an Alabama tick. Jesse Body Ventura, phenomenal 80s. I mean, Captain Freedom and Running Man, just unbelievable actor.
Unbelievable commentary for when we cover these old wrestling shows too. By the way, he's Jesse Ventura, one of the greatest wrestling people in my opinion.
One of the greatest wrestling personalities, easily.
Yeah, but all of those were kind of on a smaller scale. The guy who really, of course, elevated it to the next level right away was Hulk Hogan, who he had the small bit part in Rocky III.
But it was such a huge, it seemed like a small role, but it was such a huge role because not only was it Hulk Hogan too, I mean, Mr. T was involved there and he was involved in wrestling, but like Hulk Hogan beat the hell out of Rocky. And you didn't know, the best thing about that scene is like people, like he picked him up and threw him over the rope and like there was kayfabe that like people believed wrestling was real then, like actually beating the shit out of people. So people were worried about Rocky going up against Thunder Lips.
Yeah, there was a reality aspect to it. He was so much bigger than Stallone too, but Sylvester Stallone, probably my favorite actor of all time.
It should be everybody's favorite actor of all time. If he's not your favorite actor, just turn the podcast off right now.
He is somebody we're definitely going to cover in depth, but Hulk Hogan, of course, would go on to his own movie career. I mean, No Holds Barred is a movie we have to cover. One of my favorite movies of all time. Some people will call it the worst movie ever made, but it is great for so many reasons on so many levels.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about one-liners, Dookie.
I mean, I still do rip them to this day. Everybody knows, like, I rip them. I rip it to everyone. Everywhere I go, I rip it.
Yeah, his outfits in that movie, of course, it was written by a famous screenwriter in Hollywood, and then as filming was about to start, they decided it wasn't good, so Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan rewrote the whole movie in 3 days from scratch.
and obviously, whatever they did was way better.
Yeah, obviously they were on the right track.
Yeah.
So I mean, incredible
Hall of Fame movie.
Which led to Hogan wanting to kind of be, I don't know what you say, a star for like children's movies.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was his biggest fan base in the 80s. And that was, besides black people, those were the people that loved him the most. So he made a lot of children's movies at the time. Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny, It's 5 o'clock, you know where your dad is.
Santa with Muscles. Assault on Devil's Island with Carl Weathers, Shannon Tweed. Shannon Tweed, my favorite late night Cinemax star.
I mean, all of those movies incredible if you haven't seen them, especially Suburban Commando, which, Undertaker has a small role in.
Great actor.
Mr. Nanny is unbelievable. Hogan really changed the game because, wrestling, he brought wrestling to mainstream.
Mm-hmm. And he brought it to to the national media too.
Yeah, and Hogan, made all these great movies. He wanted to be a huge movie star. Some people would say he wasn't successful. I would say that's not true. His movies were incredible, but
movies were phenomenal, and he rolled out the red carpet for the rest of the industry to be in. Like, if it wasn't for him, wrestlers wouldn't have tried their luck on acting. I mean, we wouldn't have Bonesaw in Spider-Man if it wasn't for Mr. Nanny.
Yeah, and just like in Toronto, Canada, where he passed the torch to The Rock in a match, he would, of course, pass the torch to The Rock in Hollywood as well, correct?
Yeah, he did. I mean, and then The Rock. I mean, there's a lot of other wrestlers who have done some acting stuff, but The Rock he's head and shoulders above the rest. I mean, every single movie he's done, first of all, I've seen in theaters. Second of all, they're just phenomenal, front to back, story, acting, everything.
Yeah, Rock. I've said it already. He's the best actor today. Of course, he started out slow. He had a part in one of the Mummies.
Yeah, the Scorpion King.
Yeah, and then I believe, I can't remember, was his first movie Rundown or Walking Tall?
It was one. It was one of the two, but they were both around the same time. Rundown, I think, might have been right before Walking Tall. Both phenomenal movies, though. Walking Tall, he saves the city. Makes sure people were treating his high school crush right. They were made. Yeah, I think the Rundown was 2003 and Walking Tall was 2004.
Right, and then he had. First of all, The Rundown is an incredible movie. Walking Tall is awesome too, but The Rundown is hilarious. Rock was awesome in it.
Yeah, he fought Christopher Walken.
Yeah, he had the famous scene at the beginning where he walks by Schwarzenegger and Schwarzenegger says, "It's your turn, kid."
Yeah.
Talk about passing the torch. He had a small bit role in Be Cool.
Yeah, he did that. He did Doom.
Yeah, Doom wasn't his greatest, but
I thought Doom was incredible. I mean, he had the line in Doom where he looked at that gun and he goes, "Big fucking gun." Just showing everybody he can say fuck whenever he wants to, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, you're not going to do nothing about it.
And your kids will be able to say fuck because he did.
Yeah. And then he started doing some more less action, more kind of drama, family movies, Gridiron Gang, Game Plan, Get Smart.
Yeah.
He's small role in Get Smart. He did Race to Witch Mountain, Tooth Fairy. I don't think I've ever seen Tooth Fairy, but I'm sure it's unbelievable.
Phenomenal. Tooth Fairy is probably the best children's movie I've ever seen. He's a single father. He just shows you how to live life as a single father. So,
yeah. So for all you single dads out there, if you need an instruction manual, watch Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
He had a small role in The Other Guys, he was fucking hilarious in.
Yeah, easily hilarious.
He did Faster. And then he did the movie that, in my opinion, brought him into the next level. The next stratosphere, and that was Fast 5.
Yep.
And I want to bring this up real quick because we had a discussion earlier this week. I don't want to name anyone by name, but when the Hobbs and Shaw trailer was released, someone decided that he wasn't that interested in it because he's seen the first Fast and Furious and it wasn't for him, so he hasn't seen any of the others.
Okay, so he hasn't seen any of the Rock's Fast and Furious. Let's get this straight. He hasn't seen Fast 5 or later.
Exactly.
Until the very first Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Which was just about not going to jail and working on cars.
Yeah, the very first Fast and Furious that was ever made was basically just, import cars or whatever the fuck you want to call them, turbos and all that.
Super street mobiles, and they go to race wars, and it's really what led to Paul Walker's death.
It really is. And it was really popular at the time, so they made a movie about it, and it was just for those people, really. It was a terrible movie.
Yeah, no one cared. I mean, they had with the 71 Dodge Charger or whatever car it was that he, jumped and.
Yeah, they're just guys who were in the cars. It was no big deal. But then fast forward to a couple movies later, all of a sudden The Rock's in it, and all of a sudden these guys are doing huge jobs, saving the world from criminals from all over the planet, and every movie gets bigger and badder. And I'm telling you right now, if you haven't seen Fast Five through the Fate of the Furious, you need to go watch those right now. They're
unbelievable.
They are all incredible, and The Rock is amazing as Agent Hobbs. I'm getting mad thinking about how people don't like those movies right now.
Yeah, it's a bummer because, like, The Rock is one of the greatest crime fighters ever. I mean, he's unbelievable. There'll be no crime in him where he's around. I mean, he should be the next Bond.
Yeah, he says it in the Hobbs and Shaw trailer. He says, "I've already saved the world 4 times. I'm awesome at it."
Yeah, and it's like, how is that? Who else has done that? Name someone else that saved the world 4 times.
No, you can't do it. Only The Rock has done it. And He says the baddest lines you've ever heard in those movies. I mean, my favorite of all time was when he was in the hospital looking out the window. He sees an explosion. He's in the hospital. He sees
Fifth Story.
Yeah, he sees an explosion obviously miles away and looks at his young daughter and says, "Daddy's got to go to work," and he flexes and the cast breaks off of his arm.
Yeah. He healed. Just by flexing, he healed himself, and which was automatically his arm is bigger than that cast.
Yeah, as 2 of the only other people on Earth who can break a cast just by flexing, we can tell you it ain't easy.
It's not easy. Yeah, I've done it. How many times? 4 or 5 times?
Yeah, I've seen you do it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so I'm telling you right now, they're incredible. Hobbs and Shaw, of course, like I said, from Fast 5 on, every movie they take it to a new level, a new crazy amount of ridiculousness. Hobbs and Shaw extends that by they're basically fighting a superhero.
Yeah, I can't. Their movies are already more. He's more of a superhero than anyone in any DC movie. I can tell you that.
Yeah, which he is going to be in the DC movie, but
he is.
Yeah, the Fast and Furious franchise is better than the DC movie franchise.
Easily.
And I would rather, if I was getting attacked by villains or aliens, I would call Ludacris and Tyrese and The Rock over Jason Momoa.
Easily. Over Jason Momoa and Ben Affleck and whichever douchebag's playing Superman tomorrow. And I don't care if everyone's mother's names are Martha. I'm not calling them.
Yeah, we don't give a fuck. I don't know what Hobbs' mom's name. He probably broke her neck.
Probably.
he probably broke her vagina coming out.
Yeah, he probably did. He probably goes, "Daddy's got to go to work," and just flew out of that thing. Just blew straight out of that shaft slide.
Yeah, so I'm telling you right now, you're going to go watch Hobbs and Shaw, but before you go watch Hobbs and Shaw, you're going to want to watch the Fast and Furious franchise, which is incredible. And before you go out there, let me clarify, the first 3 movies you don't need to watch.
No, the first one's dumb. The second one took place in Asia, which it was just motorcycles and the triad, so nobody cared. I didn't even understand that movie. And the third one, I don't even remember. Michelle Rodriguez may have been dead. Maybe that's Resident Evil. I don't even know.
Yeah. The third one was Tokyo Drift. The second one was Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oh, is that the third one was in Asia? Yeah, who cares? Let's just start with number 4 and go on.
Yeah, none of the guys were in the Tokyo Drift one. Actually, I think the Tokyo Drift one was like way in the future. But since they started fighting superheroes, the timeline's kind of iffy.
But that movie did change his career because, like, especially as a crime fighter, because there's a movie he did after that, if you don't mind me moving up to another movie.
Well, before you do, I just want to say there's pieces of shit out there like Matt Cole who don't like the Fast and Furious movies, but they make a shit ton of money.
Yeah, a ton of money.
Yeah, worldwide.
The Rock was the highest paid actor in, 2018?
Yeah, and that's why getting this part in the Fast and Furious Furious series was such a big deal because it really elevated him to the next level.
Not only that, I mean, he gets to be alongside Jason Statham.
Yeah, also an incredible actor who has many great movies.
Who fought a megalodon underwater with a knife, hand-to-hand combat, killed a megalodon. So I don't know who's done that. So what? I mean, I don't know. I don't know why people would ever shit on that. I don't know why the Matt Coles of the world. I guess they just, some people just like to watch the world burn. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, some people are just fucking idiots. I said it once, I'll say it again, man. Some people are just fucking idiots. Okay, so yeah, the Fast and Furious franchise took them to the next level, but you were going to talk about the next level after that.
Yeah, and then hang on, I got to get ready for this. All right. So the next movie, after that, after Fast Five, where The Rock became an incredible crime fighter and great action star, there's a movie he came out with called Snitch, where his son got caught with drugs and Rock had to go undercover, and he basically had to get his son out. His son was going to jail for a long time. The guy from the Punisher television show, Shane from Walking Dead, was in it. He worked for The Rock. Rock was like the successful businessman and owned a construction company, but he had to go undercover and catch all these drug dealers. And the urgency of the action in the movie was phenomenal. Like just him being able, the drama, the dramatic part of it leading up to the action. He saved his family and he took a lot of drugs off the streets. I know that you know what that's like because you take drugs off the streets every day with your job. And I just want to say thank you for doing that. But
yeah, you're welcome.
Can you relate to The Rock in this movie?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm basically John Matthews.
Yeah.
So obviously it's something I can relate to, but yeah, Snitch was awesome, and it was different than anything he's ever made before, really.
Yep, and it was more of a drama, but with some intense action in it. So it really helped him step his acting up to the next level as far as a sincere, serious role goes. I think that movie often gets overlooked, and if anybody hasn't seen it, you should tune in. It'll probably change your life.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those movies that's really good that's overlooked. People talk about a lot. He then he had a small part in G.I. Joe. He was awesome in G.I. Joe.
Yeah, Roadblock, one of the all-time great characters in G.I. Joe history.
Yeah, the reboot, they were doing some good stuff with that G.I. Joe series, and then it just all fell to shit.
Sure did.
But he was in Pain and Gain. That movie, he was hilarious in Pain and Gain.
Yeah, he was hilarious in that movie.
I mean, when you just go down the catalog, how is The Rock not one of the best actors of all time?
I don't know. I mean, he's played every role. Every role he can play. Every role.
Yeah, and then he did San Andreas, of course, Save the World.
San Andreas. All right. Within 5 minutes in San Andreas, The Rock drove a giant truck. He flew a helicopter. He then flew an airplane. He dove out of an airplane into a baseball stadium. Then he drove a boat over a tidal wave, and then he held his breath longer than Kurt Russell in Poseidon because honestly, he surpassed Kurt Russell as far as I'm concerned to save his daughter. So he saved California, his family. I don't even know what to say. It was one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a general theme, but The Rock saves the world.
Yeah, it's not even, no one else is even close.
Yeah, just when you want to call The Rock one-dimensional, he does Central Intelligence, which shows you how hilarious he is.
Hysterical.
Yeah, that movie is hilarious if you've never seen it. It's really good.
Yeah, and then he goes on a whole nother spectrum of things and does he plays Maui. And
he plays Maui. Well, I can say since my girlfriend's obsessed with Disney, the correct Moana.
Moana. No, Moana's the name of the movie, but he's the voice of Maui.
Oh, I thought you were saying
in
the movie was called Maui.
No, I mean it might as well be. It looked like it was just on Hawaii, but no, no, he did the voice, but he did voice acting, which is it's not easy. Voice acting's not easy.
Yeah,
you can't
sang better than Adam Levine.
Yeah, easily better than Adam Levine. His tattoos are better, and he had a shirt on.
Right.
And if he wanted to take his shirt off, he would just flex, and it would be like Lou Ferrigno from the Incredible Hulk. That's how when Incredible Hulk never took shirts off. When he turned into Incredible Hulk, they just ripped off and fell to the ground.
And that's what he would do.
And if their shirt happened to be tucked in, if it was a nice dress shirt on a night going to work, trying to look nice and work hard, like an average human being should, the shirt would rip off and dangle down because it's still tucked in.
Yeah, and he has a normal looking tattoo. He doesn't just have where it looks like you went in the tattoo shop and said, "Let me get one of everything on the left."
Yeah, he doesn't have states' names across his chest just for like, I'm not real sure why. I don't know why. I don't just to let people know where he's from. So
yeah, and then of course Rampage was incredible, but what I think me and Jamie both want to talk about is Skyscraper.
Yeah, he plays Will Sawyer. All right, I gotta get ready for this. We're talking about Skyscraper. Skyscraper changed my life.
Yeah, I gotta get ready too.
The moment I saw Skyscraper, let me ask you this: when you saw Skyscraper, did you walk out of the theater and climb the highest thing you possibly could see?
Yeah, so I went and saw Skyscraper opening night. Obviously, I made Rachel go watch it.
Who didn't see it opening night?
Yeah, hopefully everybody went, but I immediately tried to cut my leg off first.
Yeah,
Rachel wouldn't let me, but after that, I did try to climb the highest thing I could find.
Yep.
Just to prove that you can run and jump from one thing to the other. Everyone talks about how unrealistic that was, but I mean, obviously The Rock did that with ease with one leg.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I did the math, and I used Scott Steiner math. He was running at 33.33% speed, which is 100% faster than anyone else on the planet could run. So if you're running 100% faster than anyone else on the planet, and you're 33.33% faster than that, you can possibly jump 1.5 miles.
Yeah, so the math obviously adds up.
Yeah, 1.5 miles. 1.5 miles is roughly close to 8,000 feet. So I'm just taking a educated guess. It's like 7,700 feet or something maybe. And the distance between that super crane and Skyscraper was only 300 yards. So if he wanted to, he could have jumped over it. He just had to pick a precise place to land where he could get on and save his family. Yeah,
he basically did what we never thought would happen, and he made a better Die Hard.
Yeah, and honestly, and I said this when I walked out of that movie and sat down and told the world this. They wouldn't listen because they're idiots. I told everybody Bruce Willis should be embarrassed with his performance in Die Hard. He had 2 legs. Granted, he didn't have shoes. He walked on glass that one time, and he said, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker." But that's really about it. He was a horrible father. He didn't care about his family. I mean, people say he wanted to save his ex-wife in that movie, or wife, or whatever it was. But realistically, he just was being a cop, and he always needed to be at the center of the tension because he's selfish. And he just did what he did. He just fought bad guys. He's a deadbeat dad, doesn't care about his daughter. And the opposite of that, The Rock, just to prove Bruce Willis wrong. I mean, The Rock's probably the greatest father of all time. Can you name a better father? I mean,
no,
definitely not.
If you add up just San Andreas, Skyscraper, not to mention in the Fast and Furious movies, he has a small daughter, Tooth Fairy. He is the best dad we've ever seen.
Best dad. I mean, And a lot of you people believe in God, and he let his son die. So that tells you how shitty of a father he was. But The Rock, I mean, I just don't know. There's not a better dad. I mean, he jumped off a super crane with one leg, landed on the skyscraper on the outside, climbed it from the outside, saved his family, destroyed bad guys, defeated every obstacle. And on top of that, he was set up by one of his friends that he trusted. I'm getting emotional. I just don't know how people wouldn't like this movie. It makes no sense. The reason why the world acts the way it does today, why everybody's whining and crying and so sensitive, they're all a bunch of pussies running around waiting for somebody to say something wrong so they can be social justice warriors and all this shit, is because they didn't watch Skyscraper. Skyscraper solved the world hunger. Everything. If the world would just watch Skyscraper, everybody would be at peace and work together and figure out how to solve the problems.
So I just want you to take a minute real quick as we wrap up The Rock's already unbelievable movie career and just talk to those people who haven't seen Skyscraper yet. What's the message you have for them?
What's the message I have for people who haven't seen Skyscraper?
Yeah. Considering that it's available to rent now on every platform.
I'll walk around looking at people and say, do you want to fix your marriage? Are you lost in life? Do you want to learn how to work hard every day? Do you want to see your children more than just on Saturdays?
Yeah. Do you take having two legs for granted?
Do you enjoy both legs? If you need any help in life, just watch Skyscraper. Even if the day after watching Skyscraper, I just took the engine out of my car and rebuilt it because Skyscraper taught me how to rebuild engines.
Yeah, I think the day that Skyscraper. Oh, actually, yeah. The next day after I watched Skyscraper, I remember I live on the 7th floor of a condo building. I jumped off my balcony onto a moving train and ran as fast as I could to the front and learned how to drive a train and drove the train to the next spot.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. And have any of you done that? I mean, you could other people could do that, but they don't watch Skyscraper. They don't have the guts.
Yeah, that's what's crazy is before I watched Skyscraper, I had no idea how to drive a train.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know how to fly a plane before I watched Skyscraper, and I climbed the tower, boarded a plane, and flew to Madison and opened a business. So it's just crazy to me how all these people try to learn stuff off YouTube and Rosetta Stone. You want to learn another language? Watch Skyscraper.
Yeah.
You want to learn Mandarin? Watch Skyscraper. The Rock spoke perfect Mandarin in that movie.
Yeah. So if you want to unlock your full potential and be the best you need to watch Skyscraper. That's all we can really say about it. But I think, I mean, we've proven without a doubt, if this was court, it'd be unanimous that The Rock is the best actor of our generation.
Easily. Where the defense and the persecution drop dead.
Yeah, instantly.
Yeah, it's not even. And then I think I'll probably, when we're done with this podcast, I think I'll probably go climb my building, jump to the building beside it, and climb up to the top of it and see if I can run and jump to Coors Field. It's about a mile from the building, so I think I'll try it out. I think I can get pretty close. If not, at least land on the side of the.
Well, by Steiner math, you'll make it.
Yes, if I Steiner math, I'll make it right in, and I'll probably land sliding into home.
Now, I am curious. Now, what we talked about what you can do watching a movie. What can you do just by talking about Skyscraper? That's what I wonder.
What can you do just by talking about Skyscraper?
Yeah.
Just by talking about Skyscraper to you for how long we've been talking about it? It's probably 7 minutes.
Yeah.
I measured my biceps before, and now, hang on, let me measure them right now. Let me go. So my biceps have went from 24 inches to 26 and a half inches just by because I flex so much when I'm talking about it. Yeah. I just gained 2.5 inches on my pythons.
Yeah, that's incredible.
What about you? Need to measure your neck, Jesus. Can you even walk through the door?
No, I'm afraid to even move right now. Skyscraper, incredible. Rock, incredible. I mean, there's just no, you can't argue it. He's the best actor we've ever seen.
It's the, yep, is, and maybe, just maybe, there's another planet in a galaxy far, far away somewhere where there's a professional wrestler turned actor who has made better movies, but I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Yeah, and he better never come here and mess with a rock. I know that.
Yeah, because he'll be dead immediately. Wouldn't even be a movie. It'd be a short film.
All right, so we've broke down Hogan, and of course, we didn't go into crazy detail about Hogan, but I'm sure we'll be covering most of his movies in depth.
Yeah.
We broke down the amazing career of The Rock that isn't even probably halfway done.
Yeah, it's not even close to done.
And we want to talk about the next evolution. So in the 80s, Hogan, biggest thing ever, right? In the 90s, The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, which, by the way, we didn't talk about Austin and The Condemned and all the great movies he's been in.
We can, I mean, and we got about 15 minutes. We can talk about him too.
Well, I know you really like his straight to DVD movies. So just real quick, just kind of break down Stone Cold.
All right. Well, if I'm going to break down Stone Cold, better open that beer and take a swig. So first of all, I was at the world premiere of The Condemned, Stone Cold Steve Austin's first movie. I watched it arm in arm with Arn Anderson. I called Batista a bitch because he was fighting Undertaker, sat behind Batista. The Condemned is a phenomenal movie of a man who was just done wrong, and he just wants to fight his way back to his family. His girlfriend taken advantage of, but his straight to DVD movies, and he does this just because he's a quieter guy. He don't need the spotlight. He just likes whipping ass. So there's a movie called Hunt to Kill where the boss fight, he has a four-wheeler fight. He rides a four-wheeler and another guy rides a four-wheeler. They fight each other in a forest. And he has one of the greatest lines, my favorite lines in movie history.
You want me to try to guess it?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, no. I don't think I'm thinking of the same one. The one I'm thinking of was from Condemned, where he goes, the guy goes, where are you from? He goes, I'm from a little town outside of Alaska called Fuck Your Mother.
Yeah. Now, nobody has better one-liners than Austin. First of all, Hunt to Kill, name of the movie. When he murders the boss, he goes, when I hunt to kill. Instead of, he doesn't hunt. That's a great line. But so the boss, he has to fight a henchman, and he shoots a henchman in a leg with a bow and arrow because he's an expert archer, and he's just incredible with all the weapons in the forest. But he shoots a henchman in the leg. He looks at him straight in the face, and he goes, "You all right?" And then immediately murders the shit out of him. But yeah, he has a four-wheeler fight at a sawmill. I don't know if that brings back, Kent Kisselberg's chicken fighting. That's a sawmill in Blue Ridge. But a lot of great things happen at sawmills, and that's a great place to have a boss fight. If you remember, The Rock in Walking Tall, his boss fight was at the sawmill. So then he's in another movie that's, to me, that movie, I could have just watched that movie and never watched Sons of Anarchy. He goes to a little town to extract revenge from a Mexican biker gang, the Mayans, and he murders Danny Trejo and a biker gang. There's multiple movies where he fights for his family to get out of prison. He's in The Expendables. He's a boss fight in The Expendables. He's I would call him more of a mini boss. Actually, he's a boss fight, right? Austin's always a boss fight.
Oh, for sure.
Countless great movies.
Yeah, he's kind of people don't talk about Austin in movies, but he has some real screamers.
Yeah, has some screamers. Longest Yard remake. He just, He put Nelly in his place. He has been, like you said, a lot of straight to DVD roles, but that suits him because he doesn't want that. He doesn't want to walk the red carpet. He wants to live that life, but he wants to show bad guys that they need their asses whipped.
Yeah.
So anybody out there, any Stone Cold Steve Austin movie is just phenomenal. You're going to learn a lot about yourself and how not to be a bitch, how to step up and do the right thing, be a man, take care of your family, wake up every day, make your bed first. First thing you should do every day is make your bed. Those kind of values that are very important.
Yeah. So the 80s, the biggest thing was Hogan, right? In the 90s, the biggest thing was The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then in the 2000s to now, really, the biggest thing in wrestling was John Cena. And he's kind of this new generation's Hulk Hogan. And he is, putting his foot in the door of the acting. He actually started out, a lot of people don't know this, he was in Ready to Rumble, uncredited scene, before he was even.
Yep.
And
great movie.
Which, yeah, that's an underrated movie that we probably need to cover so people know how awesome it is. But
yeah.
He started out in the Marine, which was awesome.
The Marine was unbelievable.
Yeah, Marine was great. 12 rounds, awesome.
Yep.
Legendary family movie. Did a bunch of family movies, but I mean, he's the new Hogan. Like I said, kids love him. And then now he's kind of trying to transition into a bigger role. He's not wrestling as much. He wants to get on that Rock level, really. But he had a small part in Trainwreck. He was in Daddy's Home. He's in Sisters, kind of the same, just really small roles. He did Ferdinand, some kids movie. I haven't seen it.
That is Daddy's Home too. Is that the Will Ferrell where Mel Gibson and John Lithgow?
Yeah, so he was at the very
end. He was hilarious in that movie.
He was at the very end of Daddy's Home, and then he's in Daddy's Home too. But I mean, he's actually pretty hilarious. The small role that he had in Trainwreck, he was hilarious. If you ever seen Sisters, he was hilarious in that with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, and then he was in Blockers, which, Blockers wasn't my favorite, but
meh, whatever.
Yeah, and now he just came out with Bumblebee, which is, he's trying to get in a big franchise role, and who knows? He has potential. He's a pretty good actor.
Yeah, he's good. He'll be just fine. Bumblebee is actually, the Transformers movies are terrible, but Bumblebee's pretty good. So I think this is the movie that transcends Cena to that next level of acting, where he's going to start really fighting crime, doing the right thing.
Yeah, so he's not quite. Obviously, he's not going to reach a Rock's level. I would say he's on that Hulk Hogan path as far as what movie role he's taken, and he's maybe even with Stone Cold, maybe a little behind Stone Cold, but he's if you really look at it, he's just kind of starting out.
Yeah, he's starting out. He's small roles into, like, Bumblebee was kind of his first. 12 rounds. I mean, he's starred in his movies, but like Bumblebee is that first live action blockbuster type film that he's in, right? Like,
yeah, I would say, well, it's a franchise movie.
Yeah.
So, if it takes off, which, who knows, but it has potential to be something big, like what Fast and Furious was for The Rock.
Definitely.
So, speaking of the Marine, which was awesome, the Miz acts. Miz has been in some great movies.
Amazing.
Yeah, his Marine franchise movies are pretty dang good. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Miz.
Me too.
In wrestling and in acting.
Yeah.
But there's just guys out there. I know Dolph Ziggler wants to act. Who else you can think of right now who wants to get in the acting game? Cody does some acting.
I mean, even Dean Ambrose was in 12 rounds 3 or 14 rounds or whatever.
Becky Lynch, Shawn Michaels were in that new Marine.
Mm-hmm.
Big Show's done some stuff.
Even Triple H.
Yeah, he did that movie Chaperone, which was hilarious.
He was also in Blade 3.
Yeah, so it's an easy transition for us. And, I mean, I think we've already proven without even – going in depth on one movie, our vast knowledge of wrestling, or not even wrestling movies, but just movies in general.
Yeah, it's more than anyone else out there.
Yeah, we're really going to be able to take it to the next level, give you guys something to enjoy that, if you're not a huge wrestling fan, but you want to hear me and Jamie just run our mouths about something, you can listen to us give a movie review and give you in-depth insight in the movie, and then go watch that movie, and guess what? Your life's better.
Yeah, I agree.
Are you? What's going on? Are you distracted?
No, I was taking a huge sip of beer.
Oh, that's like when Rachel's running her mouth about something, I just go, yeah. That's crazy. That's what you're doing.
I was trying to hurry up and drink. I was in the middle of like a triple gulp of beer, and I was trying to hurry up, and so I just agreed with you instead of just chiming in.
Yeah, so there you go. That's our episode for tonight. Not a lot of wrestling talk, but it's important for you guys to know how vast our intelligence is.
Yeah, and how much, I don't know, how much more we know than Google, you, everyone else.
Yeah, so there you go. Episode 3. Tell your friends. Find us on Instagram, Twitter. We'll never have a Facebook. Obviously, we're up on YouTube. We're on everything: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. Our sponsor, Anchor FM, which is the app we use. We're up on there with our own site. You can find us basically anywhere you can listen to podcasts.
Yep. I don't even have any of those things you just named.
Shocker. Jamie doesn't know how to use apps. But, yeah, you can listen to us on basically 15 different ways. So tell your friends. Help us out. The more listens we get, the more we get paid. I know we don't need more money, but whatever money we make off the podcast, we're basically going to give it back to you, because we're going to use it to make merch, have giveaways, maybe meet and greets. Who knows?
Yeah, big meet and greets are huge.
Yeah. So help us out. Hope you enjoy the show. You got any feedback, let us know, obviously. And thanks for listening. Tell your friends. Jamie, you got anything else?
No, I'm excited that Roadkill got to come back and be a little part of the show. I'm excited for what we're going to do in the future. I'm really excited about that Facebook page that's coming soon. Who knows what'll be on there. It'll be a way for people to direct contact us through another social media site.
Yeah, that Facebook page coming in 2060.
Yep, 2060. I don't know if I'll live that long. Jeez.
No, probably not. All right, guys. Well, there you go. Thanks for listening. Tell your friends. We'll see you next week.
See ya.